What up? It's your boy King A9, and today we're gonna talk about what's happening in hip hop. I know this has been like a constant discussion throughout hip hop, throughout media, podcasts, whatever, YouTube videos, whatever like that. I just want to get my perspective. It's going to pull on some points, not saying that what I'm going to say is going to be the most original conclusion. I just want to give my perspective, give my thought on it as not only a fan of hip hop, but a student of hip hop, student of the culture, artist myself that's just been watching it as a consumer, but also as a producer of hip hop and the inner workings of things that maybe the average fan isn't aware of that has affected how hip hop continues to go up or down. You know what I'm saying? Heading into the future. So what's happening in hip hop? Right now, we're currently witnessing one of the biggest and most necessary transitions in hip hop. Hip hop was one of the first genres to embrace digital distribution. From the mixtape, selling it out the trunk, blog drops, to SoundCloud and DatPiff. Long before there was a Spotify, long before there was a Tidal, Apple Music, long before that stuff became mainstream, there was a digital hustle that laid the foundation for streaming's dominance. We could go back to 2007, 2008 with Soulja Boy. You understand what I'm saying? And how he made a hit record off of just putting some shit up on a website. That's hip hop. Just feel how you want about Soulja Boy. That's hip hop. And now we're becoming victims of that system. Hip hop's early incorporation of these new ways of distribution intrigued many tech investors who wanted to put money into music without actually loving or caring about music. And even more specifically, without loving or caring about hip hop itself. When the tech world realized hip hop drove the streams, they invested heavily into it. Not because they loved the culture and they was fucking with us for real, but because the data showed that we was generating some money. We was generating a buzz. We were triggering the algorithm. That's where you get Rap Caviar being one of the biggest playlists on Spotify for a long period of time, which I haven't heard about Rap Caviar in a long ass time. Now I'm thinking about it. I haven't heard about them. Like, what happened to Rap Caviar? I might have to look into that. It turned rap into a product metric. The music stayed hot, but it kind of cooled the culture down because now things started being dependent on playlists and algorithms and not actually on the content of the songs. When that happened, the focus and messaging shifted. It became less about telling a story, working on your craft, or pushing the culture forward, and more about who had the most money, the baddest bitches, and who was the most gangster, who was the most real. Creating albums as bodies of art turned into creating glorified playlists. Once the algorithm replaced the DJ, streams replaced the bars. Familiarity got rewarded. If this sounds like something I like, if this is my vibe, then I'm gonna just go along with it, not caring if it's actually good, if it's actually pushing anything forward, it's actually saying anything, if it's just going with my mood. That's why those mood playlists became real popular because, I'm feeling happy, let me put on a mood playlist, or I'm feeling sad, let me put on a sad playlist. You're not really diving into the actual music yourself, you're just looking for background noise to fit the vibe that you're going for. You understand what I'm saying? There's no real deep dive into what you're actually listening to. That shift in focus led to a huge upswing in popularity for hip hop, but at what cost? Now in 2025, the hype for hip hop on the mainstream level has died down tremendously, and you got K-pop, you got country, and you got regular pop dominating the charts. According to Luminate's 2024 mid-year report, hip-hop's market share dipped slightly while country and pop gained. Country in particular was one of the last genres to fully engage with streaming because the demographic that listens to country music has a loyalty to radio and a loyalty to actually going out and buying albums. So them jumping over to streaming like hip-hop did wouldn't have been beneficial for the culture of country music at that time. But that loyalty is flipping now, and now they're starting to transition over to country. Now country's having a boom period right now. A whole lot of country songs is on the charts right now. A whole lot of country, pop, K-pop, and some R&B is sneaking in, but we're going to touch on that in a little bit. With so much happening around us politically, emotionally, socially, it seems mainstream hip-hop still wants to stay stuck in its glory days of mid to late 2010s, clinging to the same subject matter, or as Young Thug once put it, just have fun. But the most beautiful thing about hip-hop since its inception is its balance. We could have fun. We could get hood stories. We could hear political messaging. We could hear club songs, love songs. We could even hear some abstract, off-the-wall type of lyricism. It could all exist on a mainstream level. But because of the money that hip-hop generated specifically from the trap sounds of Atlanta and the melody styles, there became a dependency on that specific sound, that specific subject matter, and those specific type of artists. Integrity didn't matter no more. Respecting the OGs didn't matter no more. Speaking on issues affecting our communities didn't matter anymore. It became about who had the most money, the baddest bitches, the fastest cars, biggest first week sales, or in summation, who was the most lit. These things to audience are real human beings with real lives, real struggles, real political battles, and stories that need to be told only matter on a surface level. The things y'all talking about, they cool for the moment, but it's only for the moment. People gotta go back to the real life that they live in, and you're not making nothing that's resonating with that for a long term, which is why you get a lot of artists that have to constantly keep on dropping, because your music doesn't have enough substance to last longer than what it's there for. I think this speaks on a deeper level as to why R&B seems to be slowly taking the spot of what hip hop was doing. I think this speaks to why R&B has moved to the forefront of what represents black music today. That's including Afro beats and stuff like that. When we're talking about Leon Thomas, Chris Brown, Mariah the Scientist, Kehlani, Raven Lenae, is that her name? I can't remember her name. Even we have Olivia Dean coming up. There's so many R&B, great R&B getting put out, great R&B that's moving the charts and really making movements right now, and there's a reasoning for that. In fact, in 2023, R&B grew faster in on-demand streams than rap for the first time in years, according to Luminate 2024. Though the genre can be over-sexualized, some people say, oh, I can't listen to that because all they talk about is this and all they talk about that. It still speaks on things that people can relate to every single day. Whether it's heartbreak, toxic relationships, falling in love, infatuation with someone, these are experiences that the average human being, the average person can relate to, regardless of how old they are or what time period they come from. And these dynamics between men and women that R&B explores can have an impact on a social and political level without it being overtly political. This is what's missing from hip hop on a wider stage. We still have rappers talking about being rich and sleeping with strippers and escorts and the Instagram models, driving Rolls Royces, having enough money to buy an island, while the average listener is working a 9 to 5, struggling to pay their rent. There's a disconnect. There's a disconnect between the artist and the audience that needs to be addressed if hip hop wants to regain its balance. Artists have been so trained to cater to the algorithms and cater to the streams and cater to the playlist that they forget that it's human beings listening to your music on the other side. The human beings that have the earbuds and the headphones and the speakers listening to your music, that's who you're talking to. You're not talking to an algorithm. You're not talking to bots. Well, some of them are. You're not talking to a playlist. You're talking to another human being. Human beings with real lives, real struggles, who will love to find someone that can be their voice, that can be the voice of the voiceless. Even if you don't pick a side politically, at least show that you're politically aware of what's going on. So let people feel like you're on the same planet as them. You're in the same, like you see them. One of the most popular things in political theory is political recognition. You don't have to pick a side, just recognize that there's shit going on and there are people being affected. That's the minimum. We need balance. We need heart. We need soul. But last, and certainly not least, we need balls to be different, to be polarizing, to be teachers, or at the very least, be conscious of who we're giving these mantras that we make into. Hip hop once built what is streaming today. Now it has to rebuild its own connection to the people that created it. We need the same courage we had when we pressed those tapes, selling it out the trunk, started going and finding things and distributing online. We need that same courage, those same balls, those same innovation, that same authenticity, that same hunger. And we need to care. We need to care. So what's happening in hip hop? Why is it not connected anymore? Because we're not connected anymore. Hip hop is a lot about the human experience. And if you take the humans out of it, who are you talking to? What are you talking about? What purpose does this have to further the culture? That's it for me. Give me your thoughts. What's going on in hip hop? What's happening? Why is there a shift? Does it have to do with the disconnect? The lack of substance, the lack of care of what's going on in people's real lives? Or is there something else? Put it in the comments down below. Like, share, subscribe. It's your boy A9. I'm out. Too sweet. Deuces.